Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, probably the most hated film in the entire Halloween franchise. It's probably the one film where most Halloween fans just completely agree that it is not a treasured entry in the franchise.
When I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you.
But you know what? This series is all about finding the good in bad movies. Because you know what? We do all these videos, we criticise, we complain. But you know what? There's probably always a silver lining in every bad movie. Sometimes you have to squint really hard to see any of them, but they are there. And it's interesting to take this approach. Sometimes it's just good scenes, sometimes it's things that I think could have been good, ideas that didn't really pay off that could have been good, or it's ideas that I think were actually genuinely good. So let's take a look at Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Very, very hard to do it, but let's try and find 7 actually good things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the cinematography and the atmosphere in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's actually pretty darn good. It's creepy. You know, it is creepy. It starts off with this kind of blue light atmosphere, kind of reminiscent of the original Halloween. Very mysterious, very looming, very dark. I do think it's a film full of really memorable visuals. Like, even though it's stupid, the visuals of Michael's mother, like appearing to Michael, are quite memorable. I've never really forgotten since I watched them, and they are incredibly well shot by Rob Zombie and incredibly striking. Granted, the writing, the concept is god awful, it's a load of old arse, but how it all looks, you know, in a better movie, you know, it shouldn't have been Halloween, this. Rob Zombie could have made quite an interesting film, and he kind of did with The Laws of Salem. It's kind of what, for me, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was kind of going on to become. It's just like a mysterious, supernatural, wild, crazy affair. Very trippy, very creepy. And it looks great. And Rob Zombie kind of demonstrates that he's kind of a Tim Burton-esque director in this. There's that really disturbing scene where in the snow, Michael and his mum meet all these crazy kind of Alice in Wonderland morbid characters. That's very disturbing. That's a very creepy scene. Again, doesn't belong in a Halloween movie, but it is very good. Kept me entertained, and it was like, what is this? You know, it's almost like Tim Burton actually doing a horror movie. Very Tim Burton-esque. And Rob Zombie proves that he's an effective horror filmmaker in this. He's great at those, not just the grisly violence and the horrible stuff. He's actually good at creating disturbing imagery. The next good thing about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is the hospital scene. Yes, people who talk about this movie don't really remember this scene, and you could be forgiven, because it's a bloody dream sequence. The best scene in this film is a dream sequence. Piss off, Rob. The hospital scene is basically a dream that Laurie has of Michael stalking her in the hospital after the events of Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, I don't know why Rob Zombie didn't just remake Halloween 2 in the hospital, because this scene proved he could have done it. This scene is very, very good. This scene is full of suspense, full of tension, full of great atmosphere, and it's shot incredibly well. And Rob Zombie kind of combines his grisly, horrible, brutal nature with suspense and with a tense atmosphere, which is showing that he could have done it. But he obviously, what annoys me about Rob Zombie is he obviously had no interest in maintaining the integrity of Halloween, and that's what annoys me, because elsewhere in this film he doesn't maintain that. But in this scene, he actually does. He proves that he could have been the right man for the job for a Halloween movie. And then the rain outside, the thunder. This should have been the movie, man. It should have been focused in the hospital, but then outside the hospital as well, the hospital grounds, in the rain and the thunder. Because Michael looks scary in the rain. He looks haunting. He looks creepy. And it's just a real sense of grittiness. Everything about this scene just shows what Rob Zombie could have done with Halloween. It's so foreboding. It's so in your face in moments, but it's true to what Halloween's about. It's almost like you put this in there as a little tease, like, this is what I could have done, but what I'm actually going to do is just destroy the series from within, and you can't do anything about it. So here's what you could have had, guys.
Whatever, dude. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I was like, exactly. So that's the way I look at it.
Danielle Harris is obviously a free good thing in Halloween 2. Of course she's good. It's great to see Danielle Harris in any Halloween movie. Obviously she comes back as Annie, and she's very sympathetic because of course she's been through this traumatic experience, but she's looking after her friend, Laurie. Laurie is living with her and her dad, the sheriff. And you can see she genuinely cares for Laurie, and that makes her automatically sympathetic. And obviously we associate Danielle Harris with Jamie Lloyd, so it's just good to see her as Annie, as another likeable character in the Halloween series. I think a lot of people forget Danielle Harris' involvement in Rob Zombie's Halloween films, you know, because they treasure her so much as Jamie. But for me, she really makes Rob Zombie's Halloween films watchable, because at least you have this likeable character who you know, at least she's always good on screen, at least you can always get behind her. It gives the film a sense of familiarity, but also a sense of empathy to buy into at least one of the characters. And once again, she holds on. She holds on when she's been attacked by Michael, and that's a real... Rob Zombie, you know, he doesn't show much respect for a lot of Halloween stuff, but he showed respect for Danielle Harris, because in the first movie she gets stabbed, she holds on, she survives. In this movie she gets attacked, and she holds on for as long as possible. She doesn't survive, but she holds on. And the next good thing in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is a strange one. It may look like I'm grasping at straws here to find anything good in this movie, but it's the amount of woods that we see in this movie. I know I'm scraping the barrel, but I don't think I am, because you know what? This for me was something I didn't notice before when watching this movie. You know, throughout the Halloween franchise, you've never really had Michael in the woods. And I know it's like not an obvious thing, but I feel like the amount of time we see the woods in this film, Rob Zombie shoots it very well. It's very haunting and very supernatural and scary. The woods is a scary place. You know, Michael Myers in the woods is a scary thing. He almost sets a Halloween movie in the woods. And you know what? It has some good scenes. You know, it changes up the feel. You know, there's cornfields in this. There's trees. There's cabins in the woods. There's silly moments of Michael Myers strolling in the woods, looking like Rob Zombie himself without the mask. There's silliness, but at times Rob Zombie really utilises the lighting to illuminate the woods and to create this kind of druid, supernatural, Celtic feel. And you know, that's weird. You know, it not necessarily belong. Again, it doesn't necessarily belong in a Halloween movie. But you know what? For what he did, I enjoyed seeing Michael Myers in the midst of woods and woodland, and having the combination be in the woods. And I just liked it. It gave it this kind of odd feel, cursed feel, and earthy feel. And again, Rob Zombie presents woods in such a scary way in this. A lot of the praise Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, as you're noticing, is the look of the film. As I said, cinematography, great. You know, settings, great. It's just the concepts were just not delivered well. And they probably shouldn't have been even considered in a Halloween movie, but at least I can have fun kind of getting absorbed into this. It's a unique experience, this film. And the next good thing in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is Brad Dourif's performance as Sheriff Brackett. Now, he's great in the first Rob Zombie's Halloween. He's a real standout of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Brad Dourif shows, you know, he's such a versatile actor anyway, but he's usually these creepy, imposing, or, you know, killers like he is as Chucky and in The Exorcist 3. But in this, he shows his versatility, that he can be a caring, lovely old dad for Annie. And you buy into him and Danielle Harris' chemistry as father and daughter. You can tell he really loves Annie. You can tell Annie really loves him, and they nailed that family dynamic. I think he's better in Rob Zombie's Halloween. I think you get more of a look into him in that. But in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Brad Dourif is still great. He's wonderful. It's heartbreaking when he discovers Annie has been killed, and you know what that does to him, and the way he attacks Dr. Loomis at the end. You know, it just makes him so likeable. Just makes him such a sympathetic character, but also a justifiably angry character who's just doing his best. He really is a character who's doing his best and loves his daughter and wants nothing but the best for her and for Laurie. There should have been more focus on his point of view, I think, in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I almost would go as far as saying we should have had the movie be by his perspective, or at least very much by his perspective. You know, show us the hunt for Michael Myers from the police point of view for once. You know, just do something different other than just the Laurie and Michael usual thing. Have Brad Dourif Sheriff be the main character hunting for Michael. Why not? You know, he's likeable enough, and it would give the film a different enough feeling. And if Rob Zombie was going for different, which he bloody was, why not just have Brad Dourif's character lead the film? You know, a more focus on characters we don't normally focus on in the Halloween franchise. And the next thing is, I think that Scout Taylor Compton's performance is very good also. Now, I don't love her as Laurie Strode, but you know what? The more I watch over the years Rob Zombie's Halloween, she could have been a great Laurie. I kind of like the approach they took with her. In the first Rob Zombie's Halloween, they kind of took Laurie from this wallflower girl, this shy, quiet girl, to a more, louder and more outgoing girl, but a good-hearted girl, a very kind girl. I think what is pushed to the forefront in Rob Zombie's Halloween is how kind-hearted Laurie is. And as long as that is the case, we can change Laurie Strode. As long as she's likeable, why not change her? And I think she has enough of that, because she has enough of the original Laurie, because she's still resourceful, she's still passionate, she's still good-hearted. She's still not the most outgoing, like her friends are a lot more outgoing, but I like the fact that they changed her a bit. And one thing I really noticed about Scout Taylor Compton is I really felt sorry for her as Laurie, even in the first film and in this one. I really feel sorry for her. Obviously in this she's going through the trauma of Halloween. I feel like her trauma is probably more justified than the trauma we're seeing in the new Halloween films. Like, Michael killed a few people and it dominated Laurie's life for the rest of time. Here, Michael was the most destructive force ever in the history of movies in Rob Zombie's Halloween. Of course she's going to have trauma. And we get that with Scout Taylor Compton, and she's likeable. She's dealing with bad dialogue and bad ideas, but she still resonates as a likeable character. She still delivers the performance well. And the ending shot in this movie, or at least in one of the endings, because there are multiple endings, but the ending where she's looking into the camera is creepy as hell and shows that she was going all in with Rob Zombie's vision. She starts to look eerily similar to the young Michael Myers in that shot. That is a disturbing shot. That is one of the scariest shots in all of Halloween. You have to give Rob Zombie props on that, and you have to give Scout Taylor Compton props on that, because she almost morphs into Michael Myers in that scene, and I really respect that. And the final good thing in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, hear me out, Dr. Loomis becoming a bit of an arsehole could have been interesting. It could have worked. In Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis has become a complete and utter self-entitled horrible arsehat. He's disgusting in this. Like, even in moments where there's due to be a moment of self-reflection, like he has a moment where he's on TV and he sees how stupid he looks and how bad people think of him, and all he cares about is that it went badly. He doesn't feel any guilt. They've completely changed this character. Talks to his assistant like garbage, like crap. They've completely changed his character into a horrible, grumpy old man who doesn't care. And then whenever he gets asked about the victims of Michael, he's like, yeah, I care about all of that, but give me money. Like, he's trying to make money off it. He's writing books, and he's become a media whore out of it.
Bad taste, bad taste. God, it's business, woman! Business! Besides, bad taste is the petrol that drives the American dream.
It was clearly going to piss our Halloween fans off, Rob. There's no way around this, mate. Making Dr. Loomis into a complete and utter bastard. But I like it on paper. I kind of like the idea of this film being a character study of Dr. Loomis. Like, he does write a book, and he does kind of profit from it. But he's having an internal war with himself. And maybe he still looks over Laurie in this, and she starts turning on him, and he wants to move on with his life, and he feels like the book is a depiction of that part and is a worthy addition to the world, but he feels the guilt of writing the book and all that stuff. He could have done that, but he generically is delivered as an arsehole in this. You could have had a bit more nuance in this. You could have had Loomis have flashbacks of the events. He feels bad, but he's just trying to move on in a way he knows how, and the book was kind of therapy for him. But he does have moments where he lashes out at people because he wants to forget. He's trying to deal with it himself by latching onto the media in a way. Like, that could have been really interesting. There's a wonderful scene in this, which is part of what I'm talking about, where Loomis is doing one of his book signings and Linda's father comes up and starts threatening him and points a gun at him, because obviously he blames Loomis for the death of Linda. That is wonderful. We needed more of that. We needed more of Loomis dealing with the fact that everyone blames him. But even after that, the Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 just shrugs his shoulders and goes, I guess you just have to respect this sort of stuff, people threatening you with a gun. Like, that should have tore him apart. Like, I would have had that scene, but have, like, Loomis maybe even crying, maybe have Malcolm McDowell cry to himself. Just really focus on the fact that he's in an internal war with himself, and he turns into a bit of an arsehole, but gradually as the film goes on, he comes back to the Loomis we know and starts hunting Michael again. Here, he doesn't even hunt Michael. He sees it on the news 10 minutes before the end of the film, and he's like, guess Michael's back then. Ah, shucks, better go over. Like, he has no, like, involvement with hunting for Michael in the film. Like, I love that idea of Loomis becoming something he wasn't, but he needed to have the redemption arc for Loomis, and just 2 minutes at the end wasn't good enough for me. What do you guys think of my list of some actually good things in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Look, there's loads of bad, but you know what? This video series is all about noticing the good in bad movies. There was potential here. It was just such a bizarre concept. Subscribe to this channel if you're a movie geek just like me. I do talk about Halloween a lot on this channel. Click on another video on the screen now if you'd love to discuss Halloween. I also talk about horror. I talk about franchises, gangster movies. I talk about all sorts on this channel, but it's all about geeking out over those geeky details in those movies. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.